At one point, Mob James was Suge's go-to guy for everything.
Yeah, he was the OG of the gang, you know.
Yeah.
Mob James, the older brother. Buntry is very close. His younger brother, Buntry, was very close with Suge. But yeah, Mob James had the respect of everybody, and it was a shot caller because he was an OG in the gang.
But the way Mob James explained it to me is that at one point he started to move away from the whole situation, and Buntry became Suge's right-hand man.
The more Buntry got closer to Suge, the less money that they were getting because Suge was doing a lot for Buntry.
So he was paying Buntry well.
Yeah. Buntry was getting more money than everybody. Some of the guys that was there were like straight cutthroat, like the one that killed Buntry, George, was so like, how the fuck this dude is getting this and I'm getting this? You giving me peanuts and he getting this.
That's the way I understand it, yeah.
Okay.
He didn't like all of the infighting that Suge was creating. Suge was very manipulative and was creating conflicts among this inner circle of people. And Mob James didn't appreciate that or respect it, so.
Okay, so explain to me the type of conflicts that were happening within Death Row.
Well, from what I understand, this is based on conversations with and reports of people that were interviewed that were around the Death Row environment, Death Row Records, in the mob Piru, is that Suge would create these conflicts between people, and so that they would become more reliant on him, and so he would manipulate in order to it's just high school shit, really. It's just he would create drama, talk behind people's back in order to get them to turn against somebody else, and it was his way of kind of being a puppet master and maintaining control over some of these people around him. So that was something that Mob James didn't appreciate or respect, and that's why he kind of started distancing himself from Suge, and his younger brother, Buntry, kind of stepped up into that position.
Right, and the way Mob James explained it to me also was that
Suge's purpose was to have Reggie there to keep us at a bay. Because
I see what it is.
We on his neck.
Yeah, I could see that being Mob James's perception. I don't know if that was the purpose from Suge's standpoint, to bring these guys around to control the gangsters. But I could see that Mob James would perceive that to be the case.
Well, James said that
you got Vincent, you got Heron, you got Hen Dog, you got Chin. I can just name them.
I guess it was 10 or 11 people?
Yeah, you got all of these guys up under...
10 or 11 Pirus were killed associating with Death Row.
Yeah.
Right.
Are you familiar with this situation?
I didn't know the numbers, but yeah, there was quite a number of them.
And why were they killing each other?
It's just sometimes they were getting in fights over girls. There was jealousy. Suge was giving this guy a car and not this guy a car. And so everybody thought that they were, it was a competition. And, created conflict, and those conflicts sometimes resulted in, real violence.
Mob James also said that some guys were, out of the blue, they would find some drugs in their car and they would suddenly get sent back to prison, and he felt that was drugs being planted because, I guess he felt that Suge was scared of certain people and he wanted to just get rid of them by let me just throw some drugs in their car. I got police working for me. They can go basically get rid of this guy for 5-10 years.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that didn't happen. I don't think it did, but it's possible. I didn't see anything in the investigation to indicate that. Okay. I didn't see that guys were getting sent to prison because somebody in Reggie Wright's crew was diming them off or creating a scenario to where these guys would get busted. Drugs were part of the environment, and so if guys are getting busted for drugs, it was part of that environment anyway. So I don't know if that's true or not. I don't believe it is. But,
okay.
Yeah. These guys were involved in criminal activity, even if it's minor, just possession of drugs. You still end up getting in trouble for that if if you get caught up.
Well, at one point, Buntry gets killed. And Mob James said that George Williams did it. Your brother gets shot 9 times by George, another Piru member. Does he get convicted?
No. At that time, before Alton was shot, Davey, little Dave, Brim Dave, was killed in front of our house. He and Buntry walked outside. He walked to the car with his girlfriend. They shot him 16 times, and the girl was shot, I think, 4 or 5. I think she lost her arm. He lost his life. Then Buntry was shot. And when Buntry was shot, somebody that was with Buntry had called and told them where Buntry was at. Now there's an armed-fledged war between each other in death row.
Are you familiar with this situation?
That's who I always believed was the one. But again, it's an unsolved. I didn't investigate that murder as closely as I did, obviously, Tupac's and Biggie's. But I know Compton PD always thought that George Williams was the primary suspect, but he was never charged with it. But it made sense that he would be because there was already conflict going on between.
Well, the way Mob James said it was that
George wound up going to the feds for water, sharing PCP, and some guns, and wind up getting life.
Yeah, no, we don't. If we have the evidence to charge somebody, regardless if they're in prison or not, if we have the evidence and we can prove it in court, we'll move forward and we'll try to prove it in court.
I mean, you would use. I mean, they would actually approve, resources to charge someone who's already doing life in prison.
Yeah,
Really?
absolutely.
That's the way the police works. Okay.
Sure.
I mean, I'm just asking.
Because keep in mind, of course, you've got his whole life imprisonment is based on a federal prosecution. The feds spent the money, did the investigation, got him and Roderick Reed and their PCP organization sent away. Now, Compton PD, now the Sheriff's Department, is stuck with this old unsolved homicide. And if they can clear that off their books by charging somebody, then they're going to do that.
But ultimately,
They need the evidence to convince the district attorney that they can prove it beyond a reasonable doubt in court. And so, guys like Mob James who believe what happened and what I do, it's not necessarily enough to go and get a prosecution.
Got it. So Buntry's murder is officially unsolved.
Correct.
It probably never will be solved.
Correct.
Did you actually meet up and talk to George Williams yourself?
No, I attempted to, and he didn't want to talk. Ultimately, my partner, Darren Dupree, ended up going and interviewing. And he, again, once he found out what the conversation was going to be about, he got up from the table and walked away. He wasn't going to have any part of the interview.
And he was in prison for PCP?
Yeah.
Okay. Life?
Yeah, life. Well, 25 to life, the federal.
Oh, so you might actually get out at one point.
It's always possible. Yeah.
But usually when you say 25 to life.
Well, because federal time, you do 80% of your sentence. Unlike
Yeah.
state time, it's like half that. Suge will do, you got 28 years, he'll do with good time and with time served, he'll probably be out 10, 12 years.